Yeah.
You don't always know purpose. What you call purpose today, 5, 10 years down the line, you might have a clearer vision and you realize that, this is not actually, this is just it's not where you're exactly where you are. No, it was not only about the economy. It was also about the fact that so many people were not educated.
Yes.
Employers did not have lots of options.
That's true.
I once worked with an Indian firm that they will tell us that if I fire you, 10 people will queue for your position tomorrow morning, even before I put out an advert. So they are even saying that to intimidate you. I am a professional coder and I have been coding for 23 years.
Being sensitive to people, their time, and their space is a skill worth having, invariably making you a person of immense value. Welcome to the Happy Family Podcast. I'm Tokumbo Oloyede, and I'm fondly called Uncle Tokes. And of course, we have our family members in the house. Please note that you need to connect with us on our social media platforms, and you also need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, share, comment, and also click on the notification bell so you can be notified anytime we have amazing and newer content. Yes, we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll get to meet with our family members, and of course, the program or the podcast will continue. Enjoy. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still the Happy Family Podcast, and we still have our family members in the house. This is made possible by the Prowess Pictures Limited, and of course, we're going to be having fun in the house today. Kindly note that the Happy Family Podcast is geared towards empowering families at varying levels. Yes, we'll be introducing ourselves right now. Of course, we have the head of the family in the house. Yes, we have fewer members today, but we have an interesting topic that I strongly believe, would empower you. Yes, let's start with the head of the family is right beside me. Yes, sir.
Uncle Tokes, where did you send the rest of the family members?
you know how life happens. And we want to have a family meeting, and some members will not be available because they have to be at their places of work. And you can't say they must be there because you don't have another job to give to them.
Yeah.
You know that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, every member of the family matters, you know.
Yes.
So we miss them today, but
Yes,
we
we
appreciate them and we value their contribution.
Sassy,
Cynthia,
Olabisi, yes.
Promise, and so on and so forth. But today, on most of our episodes, we have looked at different aspects of a family. We can never exhaust this topic because we have looked at the interactions between the husband and the wife. We have looked at how they should or they can improve communication. We have looked at all manner of topics, but there's another very important thing that we'll be discussing today. It affects the children, maybe not so young, very young children, and at times you have to mind every aspect of the life of your children and your world in order to guarantee long life happiness. That's what we have come to do today.
Thanks, sir. Yes.
All right.
Dun, dun.
I am Oluwayemisi as usual. And like head of the family has said, today's topic is quite an interesting one. Being in school is an entirely different ball game from when you are left on your own. School comes with privileges. Like being a student comes with a lot of privileges, and you could live the big boy, big girl life, and when you are left,
expense.
yes, on another, of course, at another person's expense, and then when you are left on your own to live the adult life, or let me say become the adult, that's when you start hearing adulthood scam. So I think life after school actually brings us into that real adulthood. And so we are discussing that today, and I know it's going to be a very interesting one. So over to you.
Nobody told me the road won't be easy. I've heard a lot of people said nobody really told us what adult life would look like. I was not properly informed. You know, I remember this place that I used to see online. I didn't aware, you know. But the truth of the matter is, there's a progression to life and there are phases to life. So as soon as you're matured, you know that you get to a phase of life. You know that, and that's the life where you become independent, and then later you have people that are depending on you. So life after school, and it is reality, like for real, for real, for real. That's when
Reality.
you now be, you'll be sifted, to really know where you stand, where you have to place your priorities. So today we'll be talking about lots of that, life after school. Papi Sam here, and I really want us to once again come with a very open mind to learn, especially final year people, brethren in the universities. This episode is dedicated to you, to learn life after school, what happens.
All
you
right.
know.
Thank you very much, family members. Preparing for life after school. That's what we are, talking about today. And while thinking about this topic, I remember, he mentioned, the brethren and final year and everything. I remember, of course, I was not a believer in school, but of course, I know how it runs. I mean, you see, these students on fire and all that. So, what's FYB, please?
Final year brethren.
Oh, final year, brother. Okay, okay. I never knew that. So you see them on fire. When I was going back to rewrite the exams, I had to stay in the secretariat of one of these fellowships, and you could see this fire burning. But I noticed something. When most of these people now leave school, come into the real world, the fire is not there anymore. You see the sisters who were all branded and
Huge one.
so it seems
it become overwhelmed by different circumstances.
Life circumstances.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think they just get into the real life, and they realize that they don't have enough the prerequisite knowledge and wisdom to navigate the real life. Because the real life, from what, is not the kind of life that they had in school, which was controlled, and stuff. And it's always that challenge. I wonder why that happens. Because I've had that experience where somebody I used to know in school that was vibrant, and then after school, just there was this nose diving of change.
There's somebody I know that
Mhm.
I mean, because I know you were in the same school,
Okay.
and I mean, I remember then he was in the house, he was lodged in our place, and he was praying, speaking in tongues, and it made me feel like, more, you have not even started with your Christianity. That's the way it seemed, because of the way he was praying and chipping in scriptures in between the speaking in tongues, and the speaking in tongues had an accent,
Capital letter. I was speaking in tongues in capital letter.
like but I don't want to do that, but it just feel like, man, you have a long way to go. But before you know what's happening, he was off with some. But of course, that's not why I'm not that aspect. I know that just that shipping, but it's a part of it. Yes, but of course, there are so many other areas. Of course, let's hear Emperor.
There are so many other areas,
yeah.
like you said, like to buttress what has been said already. Everybody gets, one is likely to get overwhelmed. It may not really be being overwhelmed today. It's just like whether you are overwhelmed or you are experiencing something that looks like a shock. Anything that you are not prepared for. If you are not prepared for life after school, you are definitely going to get overwhelmed and you are going to receive that shock. Because once upon a time, you were the sole responsibility of your parents. They fed you, they provided clothes, shelter. You went to school. One of the problems that youth have is that youth have so much time at their disposal. And another problem that adults have is that they don't have enough time to do all what they have to do. You don't have enough time to look after the children and also work, be a working parent, and so on and so forth, and still go to maybe church, etc. So young people have a lot of time. Life is so perfect. But now, what is not obvious is life after school. What's going to happen? But the life after school is like let me just say two phases. One is very, very short, especially when you are growing up in Nigeria, in a place like Nigeria. The next thing is you have another 1 year after school. That service here is like a bridge. It's like an opportunity that people never really tap into. And then there is life after that NYC period. Because during that NYC period, you don't have the rigor of your school routine and all of that. You have some other things, assignments to do, but it's not like when you were in the university. So it could also be like a place to relax after some time. But after that 1 year of relaxation, then the reality will set in. So my question is, when is the right time to start preparing for life after school?
I think while in school, I remember in my final year they started introducing this entrepreneurship courses, general courses where they talk about starting a business, what to do, and all of that. But some of us that life has been showing, we have been doing business so that we survive. So it wasn't particularly, and then at that time it wasn't even properly done. It was just so that let's just teach them, let's just tell them. So it was theory, it wasn't the practical part, what to do and all of that. And after then, it's now something they do compulsorily. But the idea of the whole thing is it should start while they're in school.
Yeah, it should start.
Like at the penultimate, the year before the final year, they start the conversation, the practical steps. They should people the alumni should be able to visit the school and then this is what happens after. So for people like me, what really helped was our school fellowship alumni members will come back and then we'll have this discussion. They would always do that every year. The life after school, how you have to sort for yourself, get a job, if you want to go
I like
pursue more
what you just
degrees.
said. I think that we need to set it right. What exactly is that thing that is going to happen after school that I have to prepare for? Let's even try to expatiate on that.
Okay, I think one of the things or one of the realities that will set in after school is one, you find out that there is a need to now fend for yourself. And when you have to fend for yourself, it's either you are doing a business or you're getting a job. Either of the two. Many people would, how would I put it? It's good to know yourself. Not everybody can do a business, and not everybody can work in an organization. So you must be able to understand who you are. People also face this what they call imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Yes, even when they are working, they just feel like I feel like I'm too, or rather, I'm not qualified for this job, or maybe like it feels as though um it's too big. Okay, yes, that feeling of inadequacy. And I would say, as a professional, one of the things I would say about securing a good employment after school is professionals should take professional courses very seriously. I didn't know it too. I found out later that many of my colleagues were taking professional courses while we were in part 2, part 3, part 4.
Part 2.
Yes, people were taking professional courses as early as part 2.
Certifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. Okay, professional certifications. I didn't know. It was when I finished that I just realized that really some people were talking about this. They were talking about this. They were talking about that. In fact, funny enough, when we're in law school, some people came. Okay, if you want to do you want to take a course on mediation, on this, on that, and it was highly subsidized for law students in law school.
Taking advantage of
yes, but please let me just focus on this one that I'm doing. I think that is the problem majorly. When we are in school, we'll just be like, please let me just focus on the one that I came here to do. My parents are actually taking care of me. Don't let me stress myself. Let me just face this one. When I finish this one and I have a first class, I can do other things.
Does it really worth it to stress
But
yourself?
not everybody can cope with that too. I hope we know that not everyone can cope with taking professional courses while in school. So how did you roommate in school?
I think Emperor actually mentioned this, even though we were on two sides of a coin. He mentioned it that I think in the previous episode that you could actually do quite a number of things together, where if you set your mind to it. And I believe our lawyer here was saying that in school we have time, and it's a truth. It now depends on what you want to do with your
With the
time.
time.
For some
I'm
people,
not going
sorry,
about time.
for some people, I'm going somewhere. For some people, they want to have a nice time with girls or the opposite sex. Some people want to party with
In
their
my
time.
school, we had Fanta Center. Is anybody familiar with that? Okay,
No.
it's not a global time. Just a
No.
place to relax. There
Yeah.
was no all these. There was Mr. Biggs, but there was no all the numerous names. So we had
Okay.
places to
To
relax
relax and
and
all.
enjoy.
So there's a lot of time to choose what you want to do with your time. For some people, it's cultism. I mean, that's what they want to spend their time doing.
For some
But
people, it's also church.
some people it's church. But I would love to let people know that school time is a good time to acquire knowledge at several levels and get prepared. Now, I'm not just saying this because I lost out on that opportunity. I had 24 carryover university. And somebody said,
24?
yes. And somebody and somebody said, what I mean, what else? It's as good as you didn't go to school. But now after school, I realized I had to make up for all the lost years.
So you lost something.
I lost a lot. Now I am making up for them. And God has helped me, to compress time and all. But I can just imagine if we're even talking about university from secondary school years. Because secondary school years is even the time we should start preparing for life after school.
As much
Yes.
as I agree with you, so there are peculiarities to this. I was going to share that I had a roommate that when we were in school, he had fun and he thought, oh, let me do ACCA and all of those accounting. So
was that colleague of yours an accounting student?
yes,
Okay.
so it was my roommate, no, my colleague, my roommate, my colleague, and then he started doing those exams. So the moment we are done with school exam, we start those exams. I've been reading, and we were doing things that were, according to him, that were almost alike. We just read more, and then before we're done with school, was done with all the professional courses in that line. I've done everything, and then we had some
Like he was certified.
yeah,
already.
yeah,
Certified.
certified, yes. Then I
Okay.
had another friend that he wanted to do it. He didn't have the resources. He was even struggling to pay school fees. He was even squatting. Was squatting around. He couldn't have that. So he felt, oh, when I'm done with school, I'll quickly get a job. Or during NYC when they sell send us allowance. So when he was 7, that was when he started doing all those courses. Got opportunities to intern with a foreign NGO and then even traveled from there. So there are based on the peculiarities of every student, financial
Your
capabilities.
examples
My
are
point
very
is,
nice. You are supporting what
I
Uncle
said,
Toad
as
said.
much as I support you,
I thought you wanted
there are
to talk about
varieties to
No,
it.
Yeah, I
he's
thought you
trying
were-
to say that for some, they might not be actually able to take while they desire to do
have
those
it in school. They may
courses,
not have the resources
yes,
to.
I get it.
Then
Okay.
third
And so they can
option
leverage
will
on
be
the
that
NYSC.
there are
during
then
the
in
NYSC
school we
or
had
what.
students that were struggling academically with schoolwork. So would they now still say, let's now see what they would combine certifications with what they wanted to do. So it depends on the peculiarity of each student. But the ideal thing is while you're in school, while you have time, invest your time properly, do additional courses, prepare for life after school, but know your peculiarities, know your
settles
strengths.
it. I
So
think
may I even say that, first I agree with Uncle Talks that secondary school is already a good place.
I even have a
To
good
start
example for
start
that. I have a
preparing.
good example for that.
Yeah, so and it's not until you write something as massive as I can. That's one. Second, there's still a problem that we have in our society. We think going to the university or the polytechnic or whichever kind of institution is for the sake of getting a certificate. We don't align that with skills. When you go to the university and you are studying a course, together with that skill, with that course, you are actually supposed to acquire a skill in that course.
Yes.
That's what I
And
want to talk
there
about.
is the actual skill, directly related to the course you are studying.
Exactly.
And there are things that we call transferable skills
Yes.
that you also take from that course,
Yes.
provided you are invested in it.
And
So-
provided that you were properly taught the skill.
Yeah, yes, you are fond of saying something that a student has to excuse me, that it depends on the individual, If you as an individual, if you take your own destiny into your hands, you are not, it's not going to be, you are not going to be at the mercy of the lecturer, at how well the lecturer teaches you. For example, you want to be a lawyer. You know that you are going to be a lawyer at the end of the day. Are you going to leave your destiny in the hands of whether the lecturer is teaching you well? I don't know how they teach.
Or what's that?
I don't know how they teach.
Roe versus Wade.
So it's your life that we are talking about here. So that course that you are studying, I believe, like, let's take an example from that person who is struggling with his studies. He does not need to start a certification or an external training yet. He has to focus on that study. He has to know that it is important, not for the sake of graduating alone, but for the sake of mastering the course. May I add this to it, that we have bastardized education in this part of the world. 100%. When you go for your first degree, they call it bachelor studies. What's the meaning of bachelors? And why is the next one called to be ready for marriage? And why is the next one called a master? Who can answer that question? Why is your first degree called bachelor's and the other one called a master? I can answer, actually. Thank you very much. Now, I had the opportunity to taste the French educational system. You have not finished your studies until you get a master's in that study. That is the meaning of master's. Master's normally, ideally, is supposed to mean that you have mastered the course, a subject. So bachelor's is to introduce you to it. You then consolidate with a master's degree. That is why it is called a master. So here we just think, okay, here master's is optional. Bachelor's, and it has to do with the fact that they brought this thing to us at some point. We are still getting to understand it. So an average person out there, in my opinion, has not even mastered anything. Some people paid so much attention to their first degree that they have almost mastered the course.
Then I remember someone I interviewed years back, this blessed memory right now. He said, we have lots of master degree holders who have mastered nothing. They just wanted to
it's
buttress what
possible.
they're
It's
like.
possible
Yeah.
to have a master's degree,
but
and master nothing
At
because
all.
you are not even aware that the primary goal for getting a master's degree is because you want to master something.
We have a society that
Values
just
paper.
the paper,
Exactly.
the certification, and that's why someone with a personality, with my personality, would probably fail. Not because what we look at, just get a degree. No. I want to know, if you are doing something, know what you are doing. If you know you cannot know what you are doing, just let it be. Let it be. Does that mean one should fail? No. Yeah, but know what you are doing. So we have a society of people who don't know what they are doing. We just know, okay, yes, I have a certification. I have a certificate that I can use to secure a job or tender. But of course, you are meant to go through a system. You go through the system goes through you. And not only that, you add so many other things to it.
So
that's
one of the challenges of employers, where they see certifications of these people, and then they are not even performing in tandem to the kind of certification that they have. And
how did you get to performance? Because the guy is supposed to be screened, except you are just starting a small company.
So we are in a climb where people get jobs through various means, not necessarily screening.
Okay. So maybe
still
we
on
should...
life after school, getting jobs,
life after school,
getting employed.
Let's Oluwayemisi mentioned, were you the one that talked about the different things you face after school, the life after school? You talk about one of it is fending for yourself, and then you have to get a job. I think if that is your goal, you have started having problems, because if you are thinking that after school I have to start fending for myself, so I need to get a job, that means anything that puts food on your table, anything that enables you to be able to fend for yourself, is the real deal for you. But that's not supposed to be the real deal. The question is supposed to be, what do you want to achieve, make out of life? Because I believe that the purpose of life goes beyond I have food on the table, I eat, I sleep, I wake up, I go to work, and I do all of this.
Can I beg to differ on that? While the purpose of life goes beyond that, before you get to what you actually want to do, sir, you will eat food.
So yeah, I know, I agree. No, food is very important. Food
No,
is very important.
I'm just trying to know.
How did you
that is-
decide to read
that is-
law instead
that
of
is-
reading mass comm? Because if you want to put food on the table,
No,
maybe
what
you
I
should have
what I
read
am
something
trying to
else.
say is that at least that is a first step. It does not mean that what you want to do for the whole of your life is just you want to keep fending for yourself, but you get to that place that you know, okay, this is now on me. And so the first thing you want to do first is balance the area before you start thinking, okay, let me climb up and go further.
That sounds like a survival skill.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because let's face the reality of what we have outside. How many people really have the support that okay, when I finish school, I want to just face purpose first of all, and whatever. The truth is that not many people do. Some of us do. Some people do.
I
But
think both of them go hand in hand. While you are trying to stay afloat, of course, while you have your
eyes-
future, you know,
you have to take
your eyes on the
responsibility for
future.
yourself to an extent. That is what I am trying to say.
Okay.
Like you want to step up to be responsible for yourself. I can't say because I have a dream to build and whatever, I put the responsibility for me on someone else.
No, that comes as an added benefit, if I may. You know, I mean, the ability to fend for yourself, it comes as an added benefit when you are pushing, you know, the real thing you want to push. Because it doesn't take so long before you realize that, okay, I'm able to fend for myself, one person, but I need to fend for two people. Then I need to fend for three
Let
people.
me use my
I
life.
think
Let me use my life
okay.
in school as an example. I mean, if I were to turn back the hands of time, sincerely, it would have been a different ball game, starting from secondary school, because I just started learning things about the sciences that I missed out on in secondary school after I was out of the university. I just started learning them. I was talking to a friend, and we were just having a conversation. I was talking about carbon dating. I never knew anything like that existed
I still don't
until
know.
after school.
I
And he
still
was like,
don't
he
know.
asked me because he knows I'm not in that line. You know, like, you know about carbon dating. But I learned that after school. So
course, we
now,
learn
if I
every day.
were to turn back the hands of time, sincerely, I would take every subject seriously.
Thank you. Now,
Like,
finally, Uncle
like
Toast is
because
talking.
because you know the reason is I realized that first of all, we're in a knowledge-based world.
We are now in a knowledge-based
Yes,
world. Yeah.
and if you are not knowledgeable, not just at your chosen field of endeavor,
Of course.
I mean
You
from
will
a
like
broad plane, you will not be taken seriously.
So,
You will not be
So,
taken
okay.
seriously.
but
Yeah.
I still feel that we need to step into the realities of these people we're addressing today, and
That
some
we
of
are-
the that
that-
we're addressing today.
Okay.
So, and some of the realities that they plan, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. They have purpose, but they get caught in the rat race of fending for themselves, eating,
True.
getting a job. That's
True.
rat race
That's-
goals, you know. And purpose thrives on resources. Purpose thrives on people, on money, on resources. So even if I want to pursue that purpose, so how then do I raise enough fund for purpose to come alive? For example, Emperor is pursuing purpose, but the purpose is one of the reasons why we are here, and this purpose thrives on funds, on resources.
Thank you.
So somebody leaving school, this is now my point, should have a life plan that in the next 5
I was
years.
talking about a life plan, not a purpose, because purpose, you don't always know the purpose. It's revealed over time.
Yeah.
You don't always know purpose. What you call purpose today, 5-10 years down the line, you might have a clearer vision and you realize that, oh,
Because purpose is
this is not